Welcome to my YouTube channel and to my train room, and also welcome back to this mini-series. If you were watching last week, you'll have seen me add the roofs and the foundations. This week I'm going to deal with the porches. So let's turn the camera around and get busy. Well, I've just started working on the porches. 5 of the 6 buildings have them. Here's a roof, here's a base. I'm doing them a little bit differently to how I did the N-scale porches last year, because I have these very nice turned posts and railings from Tichy, and I want to use those. And since these are really short, I don't have the option of running them long and making the legs out of the same pieces. So these are going to stand on top of those legs, and then the roof is going to fit on top of that. It's not going to be as strong as if the post went all the way through, but I don't have that luxury. I'm just starting on a couple of the porches right now, and if I have trouble with making them strong enough, I will go back to the wood square posts on the other buildings. The first step in creating these decks is to start with a piece of scribed basswood. I'm using random scribed wood here with assorted width planks, mainly because the piece I ordered for this I goofed up and got the wrong spacing and it was ridiculous. So I'm just using this, which I bought for another project, but I have plenty anyway. To give myself more gluing area, I've attached strips of 16-inch square basswood to the back of it. Now I just clean up the edges on a piece of fine sandpaper. This is 400 grit. I don't know that it has to be that fine, but it makes a good job. And since there's going to be 4 posts along here, 2 of them stick on the outside, I need to figure out how much I've got to take off for the 2 middle posts. So I mark those on the ends, and I am left with 84 millimeters. So 84 divided by 3 is 28. I want to end up with a symmetrical porch. So what I'm doing is starting with the 2 end pieces, making sure those are both the same, and then the one that goes in the middle will be whatever length it ends up. If it's not quite the same, the porch will still be symmetrical. The reason for doing it like this with the extra strips is so that I end up with pockets for the legs to fit into. That way they are glued on more than one surface, so they are at least twice, in some cases 3 times as strong. The corner posts are twice as strong, the ones in the middle are 3 times as strong, as if I just glued them on the edge. If I show you a close-up, you can see that there is a pocket in the corners that the post will fit into, so it'll be a lot stronger. At this stage I'm just cutting the posts to about 1 inch long. That way they will come down nearly to the bottom of the foundation that I built without being low enough to get broken off, while still being longer than I need them to be on the finished model. They will get trimmed off as I install the building when the landscape is finished. Now with all 9 decks up to the same status as you saw me do just now, next thing I've got to do is figure out where the stairs go, because they need additional support. On this one the stairs go straight out the front, and they require a second leisure board that goes under this one, and the tops of the stair stringers rest against it. But to support that I'm going to have to glue another piece in behind it. Now this has the side advantage of reinforcing those 2 posts a bit more. And then the top of the stair stringers rests against that board. Now this wraparound deck is basically the same as all the others, it's just a lot more of it. I need stairs on both ends. I'm going to do that, and then I've got 5 small ones to do. and then that stage will be finished. So let me go away and do that. I'll be right back. Well, now that all the porch decks are complete, it's time to divert my attention to the roofs. Now each deck has gable ends made out of the same siding material as I used for the rest of the building. Now I have this offcut which I cut from the top of the walls. That should be enough. I don't need very much. First thing I have to do is measure the width of a deck. I measure from the front of the post to the wall, and on this deck it's 29 millimeters. Then the beam that goes across the top of the posts, I'm going to use more of this 1/8 inch square strip wood which I've been using to brace all the corners with. And this is the same as 2 planks on the siding. So the bottom of my gable end starts 2 planks high, and then it goes up at a 412 angle, which is 1 in 3. 412 being 4 inches of rise in every foot of horizontal distance. And then what I do is I put them back to back and clean them up on a piece of sandpaper so that I know they are a pair. Since this is 16th inch basswood that I use for the ends, the length of the 1/8 inch square strip needs to be an 1/8 inch less than the distance to the outside of the posts. A small 39, so I need this top brace to be a small 36. And then these go on the ends like that. Unfortunately, I can't really brace it at this stage. I've got to wait till I cut the roof panel. But I have to let it set up like this, because if I try gluing the 3 individual pieces to the roof panel, the front beam will be slanted instead of flat, and I don't want that. I'm just going to make some sub-assemblies and then come back and finish them all as a later step. Now that all these porch roof frames have had time to go a little bit hard, I'm cutting these sub-roof sections. Now I want an overhang of 4.5 millimeters on each side, so I measure the length, 88, so I need 97 for this one. For the most part they're all different sizes, so I do them one at a time. There are 4 little porches for the back of each house that are the same, so those will be a batch job. I'm not trimming them to the width just yet. I've got to chamfer the edges anyway, so I'll do that all in one go once I know exactly how big it has to be. All the porch roofs have now been glued. Next I've got to work on the railings and posts. Here's the prototype that I did earlier. These are the Tichy porch posts and railings, and they will get super glued on like that after I've primed them, so I can just paint the whole assembly in one go. While the camera is off, I cut these porch posts to the right height. I realised the other ones were too high, and I've cut the railings to fit perfectly between the bottom halves of the posts. Just in case there's minor discrepancies, I've set each one for a specific location. Now I'm going to assemble the railings in 2 sections. I've got to do this backwards because this is upside down. Well, since I was last recording, I've finished assembling all the railings, and I've sprayed them with a grey primer because the paint I'm using for these structures won't cover the plastic otherwise. I've also finished all the decks and the roofs for all 9 porches. Next thing I'm going to do, I think, is attach the railings to the decks before I attach them to the buildings. So let me get the appropriate glue out and I'll be right back. While the porches are setting up, I've been working on stairs. I purchased 2 packs of northeastern scale lumber stair stringers. They're rather steep, they're a 45-degree angle, but they're okay, I guess. And I've made 2 styrene jigs, one a little bit wider than the other one. It holds the stringers while I put the treads on, which are the same manufacturer as 1x8s. I think if I would have reordered today, I might order 2x8s because they'll be a little bit stiffer. The 1x8s seem rather flimsy, but at least they're a lot more durable than the ones I built in N scale. This jig is wider. It has the stringers on about 22-inch spacing because I need some 6-foot and 8-foot wide stairs. This jig here has the stringers on a slightly narrower spacing to allow me a 5-foot stair for some of the porches. Start by cutting the stringers, making sure I cut them all the same length. Well, all the decks and railings and stairs and chimneys have now been installed. I haven't done any of the porch roofs yet, mainly because I've got to get some paint in certain areas of the buildings while I still have good access. Well, that's all for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you again next week, where we will get these structures finished. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.